Yes. Oh, look at that lighting. It looks fabulous. Hello. Hi. It's Alison again in the living room. Hi. It's another hot one. Not as hot as it was. That it was like ridiculous hot. It is slightly less ridiculous hot today. So air conditioning is somewhat functional. Yes. And I have nice cold Diet Coke, and I have goldfish because we love the goldfish. We know lots of goldfish, yeah. So, there's everybody. Hey. Oh, we got France on the line. We got them all. Hey, Polly T. Hey. So, today is Sunday. It's Sunday. A new blouse, another new blouse. It's very pretty. It is Sunday, and which makes it August 23rd, which is National Ride the Wind Day. I am not sure what do we know what National Ride the Wind Day is? It sounds good. I mean, it may surfing, windsurfing, is it like a thing like that? Could be. But I definitely totally understand National Sponge Cake Day. I did not make a sponge cake. I like sponge cake. Hard to make to get it just right. I'll have to check. I like sponge cake. Sponge cake is very good. I like also angel food cake. Sponge cake's great. Sponge cake. So it's sponge cake day, ride the wind cake. There's some desserty things tomorrow. I might be able to get one of those made. But yes, so ride the wind and have some sponge cake, which is very light, and you could totally ride the wind while eating your sponge cake. Yes. Things. I'm always showing off, so I have to check if they have more of these. Now, I just have this one. It's not like I have like a bunch of these and I'm going to start selling them. Although if I were to get my hands on a bunch of these, that probably would happen. So, what do I have? These are from Nellies Little Cafe on the Prairie. If you go to Walnut Grove, you have a beautiful museum and you have all their stuff. But indeed, there is a little restaurant up the road, and it used to be, oh my God, what was it called? Diane's. I believe it was Diane's. I may be wrong. But it was a very nice lady. Diane. Anyway, it wasn't really Nellie's. And of course, in real life, Nellie Owens left Walnut Grove and they went to Oregon and California and then Oregon. And we don't know. But she's very nice. She didn't run a restaurant, and she didn't run a restaurant in Walnut Grove. If she ran a restaurant, maybe she ran one in Tillamook, Oregon, and sold a lot of cheese. I don't know. But she didn't run a restaurant there. So there's a restaurant that they decided to call Nellie's. Every time people came to Walnut Grove, they'd go to the little cafe, and they get some pancakes or an omelet or whatever, and then they go, is this Nellie's? And they finally just gave up and said, fine, it's Nellie's. Because they've been saying, it's not Nellie's. And they just said, what are we doing? Who cares? They put out the sign, yes, it's Nellie's. It's Nellies Cafe. And they put my picture on the menu. My picture's totally on the menu. It's awesome. There's like a Nellie burger. Now, the best thing there, I have to tell the truth, the best thing there is roasted chicken. If you go to Nellie's, get the roasted chicken. Just saying. It's the thing. Now, what they also have is they have little souvenirs. This is a fabulous little cup. Walnut Grove, Minnesota, little covered wagon, and phone number. And indeed it says, Nellie's, Little Cafe on the Prairie. Joey and Carol Johnson owners. Joey and Carol. Hi, Joey and Carol. And then it has here, childhood home of Laura Ingalls Wilder, Walnut Grove. And it's one of those blue speckleware like they had on the show. And it's very sturdy. Y'all can put hot coffee in this. Yeah, no problem with that. You don't need to worry about this leaf. It's Nellie's. And I do believe you may be able to order them from them. I'm going to find out. And yeah, if you can order these, that's going to be like a thing. They're not going to know what hit them. They're going to go, why do we have 10,000 orders for little cups all of a sudden? I have no idea. But there you are. So I had to show that off because it is awesome. Now, someone just said, hey, can you help save the post office? I mail hundreds of dollars of stuff every month. Yes, I do. Because all of the lovely things I mail to you when you order a bonnet or a tin cup or a book or anything you order from me is sent by the United States Postal Service. And I have Stamps.com. Did you know about this? You should totally get this if you are mailing stuff. Stamps.com is the bomb. Little website. You get the ticky, sign up. And you weigh your stuff. You get a scale and you weigh it, and then you type in he's going here, and it's going, this weighs this much, and it goes beep, boop, beep, boop, and you print a label, and you slap it on, and you buy postage. You go, give me $100 worth. Great, okay. And then you do it, and then you take it, and you go to the post office, and you go, here, and throw it on the counter, which is genius, because if your post office gets very crowded, and you're concerned about socially distancing, and you got to stand in line, and you got to wear your mask, you think, hey, if you can walk in and go, hi, bye, it's really good. And it saves them trouble, too, in the processing, doing stuff. So they charge slightly less. Yes, if you mail a package via Stamps.com, it is less than if you stood in line and went to the counter. Because as they said, well, you're not making us do a lot of the work. We like it. It's easier. And super, super bonus, tracking. Tracking. You have right on your screen, right there, not on a little receipt, right on your screen, tracking. And it even says, delivered on. I can tell. I know if your packages are late. I know if you got delivered, and I know if it got sent back, because I can see. So, yes, I see all, I know all. So, Stamps.com rules, and I have that. And I absolutely, everything I send you by our beautiful post office. And I use the post office. Also, my husband, Bob, he worked for the post office when he was in Ohio. He carried the mail. And his dad, my father-in-law, who is, 97 or 98 now? 98! He's 98. My father-in-law is 98, and he is a retired postal worker. He worked for the post office for years. So this is a post office family. This is a U.S. Postal Service house. We got people who work for the post office here. So we know how the post office totally works, because my father-in-law worked there forever, and my husband worked there for a while, and we totally know how mail works. And I have Stamps.com, and we support our mail carriers and our post office constantly. So the delays in mail, it's really erratic. There are places where people are saying, I'm not getting my mail's not going, and then there's places where it's going whoosh. It's like there's no rhyme or reason to which place is good. So hang in there, but keep mailing your stuff. And I mail stuff, and yeah, it is the post office right now. They're having a problem, but they're fighting back. They are working on it. They just put out a thing the other day saying, yeah, we actually deliver millions of pieces of mail a day, and we are going to do this, and we are going to fix this, and we don't care who says what to us. We going to make the postal workers are like, we're going to deliver the mail. You people fight about what you're doing. We're going to go deliver the mail. So, yes. So, we are rah post office in this house. We just are. So they're having issues, but I am standing. You can also buy stuff. You can collect stamps. You can buy collector stamps, which gives them lots of money. And you can buy t-shirts and things and tote bags and stuff. Apparently, they sell clothes. You can get you can get a dog costume. You can dress your dog as a postal worker. Why, I do not know. But you can dress your dog as a postal worker, and that would be making a little chunk of change towards our lovely post office. So, we're having, so far, my stuff is getting through. Is getting through, and I just talked to the people at my post office, and they went, no, we're full speed ahead over here, we are on it. So, yes, there you go, that's what I'm saying. So, it's toasty. I love this bond. Look, it's polka dots. Could you die? It's polka dots. They've got some new patterns they just sent me, so if you're looking for bonnets, we have a couple polka dots. I'm gonna order more. New blouse ordered through the mail. It was lovely. Things. So, newsletter. You guys getting the newsletter? And the newsletter comes with the email, so you can't miss that. The newsletter, if you email us at loose, Loose, loosegravelprod at AOL.com. That's LOOSEGRAVELPROD, like productions. Prod at AOL.com, and say, I want the Nellie newsletter. And you'll get the newsletter once a month, and there's one. We're getting to near that time again. It's almost time for the newsletter again, because it's once a month. And then you'll know everything we're doing. And, Ashley said, yes, sure, I'm retired. There you go. Yes, that's right, retired postal. Post office. We are getting towards the end of William Anderson's biography of Laura Ingalls Wilder, which is amazing. I knew he was good. I didn't know he was this good. This book is great. His stuff is all good. It's just he's smart. I mean, he researches his Laura, but he's also smart. His stuff is not like boring. And there's so scoop behind the scenes of like Rose and Laura's relationship and how that was weird, like how they were very very strong personalities, both stubborn as mules, and they had issues, but every time they turned around, Laura and Rose are writing to each other going, I couldn't have written my book without you. No, you're brilliant. No, you're fabulous. No, you're a better writer. No, you're a better writer. I love you. So there you go. They adored each other. I don't know. Maybe it was a little like that Carrie Fisher, Debbie Reynolds thing. There you go. Famous women in families, mother, daughters, sometimes these things get funky. So this is chapter 18, which I think is that the last one? I think it might be the last one. Oh dear, it's the last one. This is the last chapter. It's number 18 called A Rich Harvest. And it is the last chapter of this book. Bummer, 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 but feareth not. So tomorrow Monday I will be reading. Now I have in my hot little hands, I do have Prairie Lotus, which is, it's good. I have some more Bill Anderson stuff. I did find my other Bill Anderson books again, read some of that. But I ordered the Rose stuff. I ordered Young Pioneers, which is the retitled Let the Hurricane Roar. And I ordered the one about West from Home, where they go to San Francisco. I ordered it. It's coming. It'll be here like Monday, Tuesday. So it's a coming. So that will be a thing. Oh, good. Somebody put up the UPS store. Yes. So yeah. So we can absolutely. We will be reading some of the Rose stuff. So I'll see. So maybe we'll do Prairie Lotus. Maybe we'll do Rose. I was just going, Bill, more Bill. So we love him. Oh, fires. Yes, I should give an update on the fires. Oh, so we're safe. I am in Tahunga. If you look at a map of Southern California, you'll go Tahunga. You can look up Tahunga, and we're sort of right in the middle. If you go west, there's a thing called the Lake Hughes fire. The lake fire, place called Lake Hughes, which is west and north, and terrible, huge. Thousands of acres, terrible fire, evacuations, disaster. But it's quite some distance, so we are not in danger of burning from that. Smoke, yes, when the wind changes, we get smoke and ash, and I think that's what got in my eye. I'm not sure, but it's getting better. The other one is go due east. You get to a beautiful place called Azusa, but it's quite some distance. Again, it's like 40 miles. And Azusa's great, but in the hills above Azusa, boom, huge fire. Very nasty. I mean, it was very scary. It's like I go driving outside and I get on the street and I go, what the? And it looks like somebody dropped a bomb. There's this cloud coming up over the mountain. So, not pretty, and I feel very bad for the people who live in Azusa or Lake Hughes. Not good at all. But we're just kind of in the middle. It's like way over here and way over here. So we're getting kind of smoked out. The air's terrible. But we are not in danger of burning. No, not right now. And then Northern California. Very far from me. Unfortunately, a lot of friends up there. Polly, you're up near there, right? And then, of course, Charlotte Stewart's up there, or Miss Beadle. Horrendous. Everything is on fire in Northern California. And I put up earlier, there was a charity, Russian River Alliance, and they're in Northern California, and they're helping a lot of people because they'll get them food and find them a place to stay. They're really cool. So yeah, Northern California is a mess, but that's far. So check your maps. If you see a fire that says Tahunga, Sunland, Lakeview Terrace, or even Angeles National Forest, you can start worrying. But unless you see that, I'm totally, we're good. And we're really good at evacuating. We've done it, and we're like, woo, out of here, like in seconds. So yeah, no, we're good. And also, the Tahunga Fire Department, our local fire department, is world famous. Yes, because they get these fires near us put out so fast. They're really good. Here's how famous our local, I digress. Here's how I swear I'm going to start reading. Our local fire department is so famous. I was in France in the mountains, in Les Vosges, and there was a movie about a fire department that fought wildfires. A French movie about a French fire department, about French firemen fighting the wildfires in France. And they had a fire department doing a presentation, like a meet and greet and a Q&A panel after the movie about firefighting. Fabulous, all in French. It was lovely. And I met the French firemen. And I said, I was from Tahunga. And they went, Tahunga? You're fired. We know your fire department. I was like, you're kidding me. They go, oh yeah, you have like you got the Angeles National Forest. You have terrible forest fires where you are. Your fire department, Tahunga, is known throughout the world for their ability to fight forest fires. We know about them here in France. We've like talked to them and stuff. So yes, I am sitting here with like two fires on either end of the city, but I'm also sitting here minutes away from a world famous fire station. The French think we are badass. So I'm just saying. So there you go. So we're safe as we could be. It's really are. We do well. So we are situated as best as humanly possible under the circumstances. A rich harvest. Hey, it beats, living in the 1800s. There's no locusts. Doing good. Oh, hurricanes. Texas, hurricanes. At least I don't have hurricanes. So doing good. A rich harvest. So at this point, Rose and Laura are both giantly famous authors and celebrities. Laura has now traveled to other cities to do huge book signings. She's been on the radio. She's in the papers. She has to have a giant mailbox. She can hardly handle the fan mail, etc. It's awesome. And she has written to Rose thank you letters saying, oh, I'm making so much money from this. This is great. We're paying for everything at the farm. A rich harvest. Friends drew close to Laura when Manly died, and Rose arrived from Danbury for his funeral. Rose came home. She came all the way back from Connecticut. Mansfield had lost one of its oldest pioneers, and Manly was missed. Well, they talked about how much fun he was, how he'd go into town, he'd tell stories and jokes, and people liked him. He was like funny. He was funny. Readers all over America mourned along with Laura when the news of Almanzo Wilder's death spread. Laura bravely bore the loss of her husband of 64 years. 64. Imagine being married to someone for 64 years. Building multiple farms, losing everything, getting everything back, losing everything again, having your child die, losing everything, getting everything back, having your other child become hugely famous and live in Albania. What a life. 64 years. It is quiet and lonely here now, she wrote a friend. She was weary after the long weeks of nursing Manly, and she was uncertain about what to do next. Friends urged Laura to move into town or to invite someone to live with her at Rocky Ridge. Sensible enough. Laura said she was not timid about living alone. Okay, timid and Laura Ingalls Wilder, definitely not words in the same sentence, so yeah. She was not timid about living alone, and her loneliness for Manly would be the same in Mansfield or with someone in the house. She decided to stay on at Rocky Ridge. True, she wasn't scared because he wasn't there. She just felt bad and missed him. Laura was surrounded by kind friends and neighbors during her years alone. Nita. Now, it's spelled N-E-T-A, and as Bill Anderson has informed me, it's Nita. There is a photo. Oh, man, somebody texted it to me last night. I got to put it up. There is a photo. I did meet Nita. I met Nita. That's the woman at Missouri. I've been going to Rocky Ridge events forever. And Nita is still alive. And she was there for a long time. And she would meet, and I met her. Because I was going, Nita, that's the lady I met who said you knew Laura. And there is a photo of me and Nita. And Nita is pulling my hair in revenge for her friend Laura. So we'll have to post that. Somebody's probably posting it now as I speak, so there you go. Nita and Silas visited her often and invited her to their home. The Elmores, who lived in Bruce Prock's old house. Oh, that's the Bruce Prock, the handy man he had, and then the Elmores bought the place. Bruce Prock's old house across the road dropped in to visit, and the Jones family, who lived close by, became Laura's faithful companions. We didn't think she was really going to be alone. The two Jones boys, Roscoe and Sheldon. Again, the names. If you made this up, you could Roscoe and Sheldon. Of course they're named Roscoe and Sheldon. What? Stopped in to see Laura nearly every day on their way home from school. They brought her mail, helped with chores around the house, and became her special friends. It pleased Laura to know that The little house books were read at bedtime to Roscoe and Sheldon, but the boys could listen to those stories from Laura herself. Often they gathered around Laura with their cousins, the shorter boys, and listened to her tell of her days in the woods and on the prairies. In the spring, following Manly's death, another library honored Laura. On May 12, 1950. 1950! It's like 5 minutes ago. Pomona, California. Pomona! That's like over there. I know where that. I've been there. I've been to Pomona. Pomona, it's, okay, Azusa, where the fire is. You go past Azusa, and not Pomona. I have, and then you go slightly south. I have been to Pomona. They have a fair. They have a couple of fairs in Pomona, but they have like a swap meet collector's item sale thing in Pomona that's like, it goes on for miles, and you collectors books and magazines and it's really good. Pomona's fun. Pomona. So she went to Pomona, California, dedicated the children's department of its library as the Laura Ingalls Wilder Room. Laura's gift to the newly established room was the original penciled manuscript of Little Town on the Prairie. An annual celebration of Laura's February 7th birthday was started in Pomona. It's over there. It featured gingerbread made from Laura's recipe. I'm totally going to have to make that, aren't I? Jeff Moore's recipe, and a fiddler to play the songs Pa had played. Laura's birthday always brought stacks of greetings to her. In February 1951, more than 1,000 cards and gifts arrived at Rocky Ridge. For weeks, she was busy reading and responding to the overflow of affection for her. Among the birthday wishes was a cablegram of congratulations from General Douglas MacArthur. General Douglas MacArthur. Remember, he was giving out the Little House books to the Germans and the Japanese after the war. Later, in 1951, Mansfield made plans to honor Laura by naming the local library for her. She had worked hard to establish the county library in Mansfield, and her books were an important part of the library's collection, so the honor was well deserved. On September 28, 1951, the dedication of the Laura Ingalls Wilder Library was held. There's one, people in Texas, Denton, Texas, there is the Women's College of Denton. There is a women's college in Denton, Texas, and it is lovely. And they have a whole Laura Ingalls Wilder section in their library. It's either the Laura Ingalls Wilder Library or the Laura Ingalls Wilder Children's section of the library at the women's college. So there. Laura was so modest that people doubted she would attend the library dedication. Although she had received many honors, they always embarrassed her. But because she did not want to disappoint her friends who had arranged for the tribute, for the first time, Laura was present at a ceremony in her honor. When she entered the high school auditorium, the Mansfield school children sang her a song of greeting, and the band played. Man, they really liked her. But yeah, it's like, Pomona Library, largest collections of early Wilderania in the world. Well, that's not far. I should go get in the car one of these days, drive over to Pomona, because it's not that far, and bring the camera, and do a live thing from the library. I should totally do that. Well, standing behind huge baskets of flowers on the stage, Laura told the group of children, librarians, teachers, and townspeople how proud she was of the library and the friendship of her hometown. I can only say, I thank you all, she exclaimed. From my heart, I thank you. People at the library dedication always remembered how beautiful Laura looked that day, and how jolly and friendly she was. The Springfield newspaper sent a reporter to write about the event in an article titled, Mansfield Honors Great Lady. Laura was described as a striking, charming little woman. Her white hair was piled high, the paper said, and held in place by a gold comb that matched her large earrings. She wore a beautiful, very dark red velvet dress. Ooh. At a shoulder of which a friend had pinned a large orchid. It was difficult to believe that she was 84 years old. A Laura Ingalls Wilder display case was established in the new library, and Laura helped to fill it. She presented the library with autographed copies of her books, pictures and gifts sent to her from foreign countries, and mementos of her girlhood. On her Wednesday visits to town, Laura stopped at the library for her week's reading. She especially enjoyed mystery stories and westerns, and the librarians always saved the new ones for her. Springfield, I like mystery stories. Ooh, that's good. Springfield, the closest big city to Mansfield. I have been to Springfield. Is lovely. Springfield, Chinese restaurant, Chinese food, cashew chicken. Just saying. Springfield, closest big city to Mansfield, had its own chance to honor the author of the Little House books. In the fall of 1952, during Children's Book Week, Laura traveled to Springfield with a friend for an autograph party at a bookstore. It's like my life. She goes to book signings. So much fun. She sat on a small stage at the back of the store and was amazed to see readers stretching out into the street. Laura graciously signed books, talked, and accepted little presents brought by boys and girls. In the line, waiting to visit with Laura, was Carrie Preston, the Springfield children's librarian. Mrs. Preston had loved Laura and her stories for many years and encouraged scores of children to read the Little House books. She brought a Little House book with her to show Laura. It was a library copy, read so many times that it was ragged and worn. On the last page, a child had written, "I love you, Laura." Carrie Preston thought as she spied Laura happily chatting with the children. We all do. Although the loneliness for Manly remained keen, Laura was warmed by the affection of her wide family of readers. Daily, the table next to her rocking chair in the dining room was heaped with mail. During the summers, a regular stream of out-of-state travelers stopped to see her. Old friends came, some from De Smet, but most of Laura's visitors were strangers to her. They came from Indiana, California, New York, Pennsylvania, indeed from across the country, all hoping to meet the author of the Little House books. Laura joked that she thought summer vacationers must outdo farmers at rising early. One family came knocking at her door to meet her at 7 o'clock in the morning. 7 a.m. I go, wake up, Laura Ingalls. Terrible. But no, she answered. Good-naturedly, Laura entertained her callers. Many of the visitors were children, and Laura said she could never refuse to meet a child. Poor Laura, she'd get up at 7 o'clock and answer the door and be nice to people. I don't know. 7 a.m. I might be like, really? What? Come back later. Not Laura, 7 a.m. She's like, okay, hi, yeah. I don't know. Local children came to visit, too. Some rode their bicycles out to Rocky Ridge or walked over the hills to the Wilder farmhouse. Laura invited them in to sit with her in the porch swing or served milk and cookies at the kitchen table. Can you imagine, like, growing up and saying, when I was a kid, I had milk and cookies at Laura Ingalls' house? It's crazy. Sometimes she played the old pump organ in the parlor or took them to explore the big farmhouse with her. But best of all was when Laura told stories. She sat in her rocking chair, and the children gathered around her on the cool green dining room floor. Aww. While Laura loved telling children about the past, she was intensely interested in the present. As I said, she went from covered wagons to cars and airplanes and trains and everything and TV. I mean, it had to be just mind-blowing. I mean, by this time, there was television. It was early 50s. She might not have been watching it, but there was TV. And certainly her friends had TV and would be telling her about it even if she wasn't tuning in. She read every word of the weekly Mansfield Mirror, and when her friends from town came to visit, she always asked, what's new in Mansfield? She listened to her radio for news of the world and read many magazines. So she knew, even if she wasn't watching TV, she knew all about TV. Because she was listening to the radio and reading the paper. Though she'd see the TV listings and she'd hear on the radio if there was, a new hit television program or, So she knew about all the celebrities and all the famous people and all the things that were going on in the 50s. Wow. I mean, I'm just like blown away at the stuff that's happened like in my lifetime. And so this has got to be crazy. She studied politics and economics. Each Wednesday while she was in town, Laura stopped in at the Mansfield Mirror office to discuss current events with the editor. Once, when a friend who was Laura's age confided that she was ready to die, Laura quickly replied that she wanted to see what would happen next in the world. "The only way to go is ahead," she said. Oh, I'm with her. Mm-hmm. What's going to happen next? That's what I would say. We don't know what's happening next. "The only way to go is ahead," she said. Besides, she wanted to live beyond the age of 90 because Manly had. Oh, I like her. Mm-hmm. In the fall of 1953, the Little House books received great fanfare when the newly illustrated editions by Garth Williams were published. Yeah, see, that's when, those are like the editions that I eventually got my hands on, the 1953 ones with Garth. It became even more popular. Whole groups of people who'd never even heard of it from the 30s, when it hit in the 50s with those Garth drawings, kaboom, telling you. Everyone at Harper and Brothers awaited Laura's reaction to the carefully researched drawings. When she saw the first of the re-illustrated Little House books, Laura was delighted. She immediately sent a telegram to the publisher saying, "Mary, Laura, and their folks live again in the illustrations." The new edition sold quickly and renewed interest in Laura's writing. The long winter was dramatized for a radio broadcast, and there was talk of a television series based on the books. They were talking about it that early. In 53, they started talking about it. Mm-hmm. Now, they mentioned that Garth researched the drawings. Remember we said it took him years. It was like 6-7 years it took him. He researched it. So that's why when you look at the Garth drawings of Charles and Caroline, Laura and Mary, I mean, he met Laura, met Carrie, and he met Rose. So the drawings, they look like them. And they had family photos, and they had descriptions, so those drawings look like people. Now, I was told that when he drew Nellie for on the banks of Plum Creek, that he had met enough people where he had descriptions, he had photos, he had everything, and so that drawing looked like Nellie. I didn't even read them when I was little. I got the books when the show started. I went out got Banks of Plum Creek because it was Nellie Oleson. And I opened up that book, and there was that Garth drawing of Nellie. And I had all read this whole thing about how he'd researched the drawings, so they look like her. And I went, so this drawing looks like her. I opened up. It looks exactly like me. I was like, yeah, woo! Yeah, no, the drawing, it looks like he drew me. It's just, love it, love it, love it, love it. All right, they live again. So they sold, well, they went nuts. Talk of a TV series. This is 53. 53, they're already talking about, maybe we should do a TV series. What pleased Laura most was the knowledge that more and more boys and girls were reading the Little House books. When writing down those memories of my long-ago childhood, she said, I had no idea that they would be so well received. It is a continual joy to me that they are so well loved. In 1954, Laura celebrated her 87th birthday with 2 parties in Mansfield and the usual overflow of mail from her fans. There is some advantage in being my age, Laura told her agent, George By. Everyone is glad I'm 87 years old. News of yet another honor came to Laura around the time of her birthday. The American Library Association sent her a telegram announcing the creation of a Laura Ingalls Wilder Award. Controversy alert. So now we know. So that was, in 1954, we know when that happened then. The American Library Association sent her the award, a medal, was to pay tribute to authors who had written lasting and important books for children. Laura was the first recipient of the gold medal, which was designed by Garth Williams. But Laura could not attend the award ceremonies in Minneapolis. Being 87 years old with a tired heart, I have to avoid excitement, even if pleasant, she explained. It was like too exciting. As she grew closer to 90, Laura said she was quite well usually, but must be slow and careful to keep that way. She still tended her mail, went to church, went to town, and cooked and cleaned on Rocky Ridge. But she admitted, there are days when I lie down most of the time to let my tired old heart rest. Nowadays, with the leaps and jumps they've made in cardiac technology and medicine, they probably would have had a treatment or pill for her heart, and she would not have been as tired and might have lived like even longer. Now, some of you may know the Wilder Medal. She kept that medal, but that's the thing. The Laura Ingalls Wilder Award. There is that group who said, we don't want to call it the Laura Ingalls Award anymore, because they looked at her writings and they said, oh, the thing with the Native Americans, and oh, yikes, the thing where Pa's in blackface and the minstrel show. And they kind of freaked out. Now, of course, that was, again, written in the 30s, about the 1800s, but they felt it weird having the award named after her. Now, it's just that one group. It's not everybody. The libraries are all still named after her. And she also, they didn't take it back. The award that she won, she kept. That's still in the museum. That's still legally on paper that she won that. And they did keep her books in the libraries, and all the libraries kept the name. The only people who changed the name was the one award. They had a meeting, and we're talking a very small group of people said, and they took her name off the award. So it's not like, she's not like banned. They didn't close the libraries, but they did take her name off her award, which, as you saw, it was only 1954 when they gave it to her. So, they could have, in 1954, gone and read her books and said, gee, maybe the Indians and the blackface thing is bad. But notice that in 1954, they didn't particularly care, did they? Just saying. So I don't know. They say they did it out of good conscience, but they weren't bothered in 54. But there you are. So, but they haven't taken her name off anything else, and she certainly, the books are still selling. Just saying, there you go. So so she's having to lie down, and unfortunately it's only 1954, so they do not have the cardiac medicine and the heart treatments and the pills and all the cool stuff that they have nowadays that they could, a stent, she could have had a stent put in. Now you can go get a stent put in, and they should be bouncing off the walls, but there you go. Rose visited from Danbury, oh good, and that always cheered Laura. Rose flew from New York City to Springfield, where Laura and the Mansfield taxi driver met her with Laura's Oldsmobile for the drive home. Rose usually spent several months on Rocky Ridge with Laura each year. Well, see, they were very friendly. Let's talk about the two of them fighting, but she's coming back and spending months there. You didn't hate her that much. Together, they called on friends, did needlework, and marveled at the success of the Little House books. Rose was still very busy as a writer, and Laura liked hearing her clattering typewriter again upstairs on the sleeping porch. Ah, typewriters. Yes, I am old. I remember typewriters. I like the sound of typewriters. I don't know. I mean, my keyboard on the computer goes clackety, 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 clack, so that's fun. My mom wrote a lot. In fact, you can order the book that my mother wrote on my site, just saying. But my mother wrote, and she had a typewriter, and then she had like an electric typewriter, still went clackety, clackety, clack, and I love the sound of hearing my mother's typewriter when she was writing in the afternoon. So I was like, oh, she's writing again. Because, it's good sound, and it meant she was in like a great mood, because she's like, I'm writing, she get it. Oh, you love this part. And then she'd let me read stuff. It's great. When Laura was 87, she had her first airplane ride. Yes, for people going, did she ever get on a plane? She got on a plane at 87. Be a little scary at 87 the first time, or the heart condition. 87, she took her first airplane ride. After one of Rose's visits in Mansfield, Laura returned to Danbury with her by plane. She got on the plane and went to Rose's house. From covered wagons to airplanes, Laura was still ready for adventure. She enjoyed seeing Rose's beautiful house and gardens, but she did not stay in Danbury long. Laura was most comfortable at home on Rocky Ridge. There were memories there, and familiar things. She needed to be home, she said, to feed her cat. And the turtles, who appeared at her kitchen door for bread and milk. Just like wild turtles? We talking just tortoises roaming wild through Missouri, showing up at your door like raccoons? Is that a thing? I've never had wild turtles just like wander up to my door and go, do you have bread and milk? That I didn't know. I'm having pet turtles, but having turtles just show up at your door. That's very odd. I didn't know. Does it take them a long time to get to the door? Turtles, for heaven's sake. But the cat, yeah, she's just like me. I gotta go home and feed the cat. Yeah. Turtles who appeared at the kitchen door for bread and milk. How did she know they were there? Did they knock them? It's not like they barked. I am going to be laughing about the idea of turtles walking up to the kitchen door going, oh, the turtles are here. Let me get the bread and milk. How did she know they wanted bread and milk? Milk? Turtles are reptiles. Reptiles, by definition, do not give milk. The whole milk, that's mammals, as in mammary. Mammals give milk. Reptiles do not give milk. I had pet snakes. I never fed a snake milk or bread. I did not know the turtle need milk and bread. Lettuce. Don't you give lettuce? You give turtles lettuce. I'm going to be dying over this one. I'm going to be laughing about turtles coming to the door for bread and milk now for like months. I'm not going to recover. They come up out of the hollow to see how I'm doing, Laura explained. Well, all right then. Laura stayed alone at Rocky Ridge until Thanksgiving 1956. Rose arrived to visit, and immediately she knew that Laura was not well. Laura became so ill, Rose took her to the hospital in Springfield. The doctors discovered that Laura had diabetes. Oh, yes, you're saying about being tired. I don't think it was all her heart. Diabetes, that's true. That's what she had. And again, they had treatment for diabetes, but the treatment for diabetes in 1956 compared to how they treat diabetes now, woo! Okay, that's like the huge difference. I mean, they can do so much more for you. My friends who have diabetes now, it's even in their lifetimes are talking about like how much better it is. So, for many weeks, Laura rested in the hospital. Rose stayed nearby. News of Laura's illness spread, and the children of Springfield signed a 12-foot scroll with their names urging her to get well soon. Yet she was in the hospital for weeks. Like nowadays, if you were suddenly diagnosed with diabetes, it was unlikely that you would be in the hospital for weeks. If you were very bad off, you might go in for a day or two, but they hook you up. They'd give you insulin, and then you'd get medication. They'd send you home. So, yeah, this is having diabetes in 1956, also at 87. Very dangerous, so poor dear. One boy wrote that he would rather read her books than watch television. The scroll was delivered to Laura's hospital room, and it cheered her. She looks and feels better than she has for years, Rose told friends in December. But Laura was eager to go home. When she was well enough, on the day after Christmas, Laura returned to Rocky Ridge with Rose. Yay! Laura's 90th birthday approached. That's what she was shooting for. She wanted to make 90, like Almanzo. In libraries and classrooms and little houses all over the world, people remembered. Children colored and cut and pasted, making special greetings for Laura. With their teachers' help, they addressed their cards to Rocky Ridge Farm in Mansfield, Missouri. Laura did live to be 90, just as Manly had. Yay! 3 days after her birthday, on February 10th, 1957, she died. There was great sadness in Mansfield and in Missouri and throughout the world when newspapers and radio reported the news of Laura's death. My love will be with you always, Laura assured Rose in her last message to her child. Rose knew that many had shared her mother's love. She also knew that Laura's storytelling would only increase that love. The longest lives are short, Rose said. Our work lasts longer. For Laura Ingalls Wilder, pioneer, wife, farmer, mother, and author, the work she had done would last. The Little House books were her richest harvest. Well, ain't that the truth? That's the end of the book. That's the end of the book. Bill Anderson's. It's really good. It's really good. So, yeah, that's the end of the book. Wah. But it's true. So there they were as early as the 50s going, So remember in the 50s, so like Michael Landon, I Was a Teenage Werewolf, and then like Bonanza. So he's like coming up. I'm sure probably heard about it then. Probably heard about it. He was probably sitting there at the dinner table going, I wonder, Well, they talked about it. They didn't do it. And then time went on. And then Rose passed away, and she left everything to this Roger McBride dude. A little controversial. Some people are like, yeah, Roger McBride. Rose loved him, and he wrote all these books trying to carry on the thing, and he was a little eccentric, but he's the guy who, signed the papers, said, yes, there should be a show. And other people are like, Roger McBride, that Roger McBride was a kook, and that Roger McBride didn't really know Laura, and that he's kind of this interloper. But Roger McBride did apparently really love the Little House books, and apparently Rose was crazy about Roger McBride. I don't know, I didn't meet the guy. And he is the guy who said, yes, there should be a TV show. Now, I did meet at Rocky Ridge Roger McBride's daughter, Abby McBride, and she was very nice, very lovely, intelligent, lovely woman. And she said she felt a little bad. She said, people want me to autograph things. And I can't. She said, oh, no, I haven't written anything. I don't think I can write a grocery list. She said, I make no claims to be a writer. She said, and I didn't get to meet Laura. She died in 1957, and Abby's like around my age, born in the 60s. So she said, she felt bad that she couldn't, say, oh, well, yes, I knew Laura, or, oh, gosh, I've written a book about Laura. But she was working to sort of, make sure that things were put in order as the heir to the whole shebang. But she was a lovely woman who, when I talked to her, had enormous gratitude and respect towards Laura Ingalls Wilder and everything she did and her books. So there you are. So whatever, as I said, the Roger McBride thing is definitely odd. It's a very strange story. So if I hate Roger McBride and her, know that his daughter's really cool, and she really digs Laura Ingalls Wilder and the books and the whole thing. So just saying it. But yes, it's so bananas that by the 50s, I think she really realized how big it was. And so the plot was thickening. And so then, I remember long before Little House got made, Ed Friendly was like shopping the books around. I remember my father said, Ed Friendly's been shopping those books around forever, carting those Little House books around, trying to get that show made. And he was having meetings, and then eventually it all kind of happened, NBC was like, oh, we got to give Michael Landon a show. He's hot. He's little Joe. He just came off Bonanza. Everybody loves him. And then, his kids were reading Little House books. And so everybody started hearing about them. And Michael, all these women who loved Little Joe on Bonanza they were now having kids who would dig Little House. They also were the same women who had read the Little House books when they were children. And so it was like, yes, it is the perfect chemical combination, kaboom. And by golly, yes, it sure was. So I'm just so lucky. I'm just so, glad I went to that audition. We're all so lucky that it all worked out. And just think, what if they'd made Little House the TV series before? And what if they got like a crappy writer and a terrible director and didn't have like Michael Landon and didn't have Ed Friendly and didn't have all these people and didn't have William Claxton and Teddy Voigtlander, the cinematographer, didn't have David Rose doing the music? What if they had done the show and had these other people who didn't know what the heck they were doing, and it like got canceled in like a year because it was like terrible? So we are so lucky that it worked out as it did, that it happened in 1974, and we had David Rose doing the music, and Michael Landon, and we had all these people doing it. And then, of course, if they'd done it earlier, you wouldn't have had me as Nellie Alison. I'm just saying. So yeah, we all got so lucky that this happened that way, that it did. Yes. So I'm just like, as you can see, I'm just enthralled with all the history and everything. And yes, I am totally going to Pomona. I gotta go check because some of the libraries are open. Some are online, some are open. I am going to go see what they're doing in Pomona. Because it's not far. I don't know, hour? I can drive to Pomona. It's over there. I'd like to make a little day trip. I might have to go out to Pomona and see if I can get some pictures, a little something, maybe do a little Facebook Live from the Pomona Library. Could be fun. I could wear the wig. So there you are. So that's my crazy day. So yes, good heavens, yes, I have things to do. So newsletter, loosegravelprod@aol.com. You can email and say, I want the Nellie newsletter. We'll hook you up. The store, people who post the link to the store, we have bonnets in stock. I got to get more cups. You guys bought all the cups. So yes. So things. My show, September 24th, I'll be over there up against the wall doing comedy for you. So things will be happening. And yay! I'm getting a fridge. I just got a stove. I'm getting a fridge. The fridge is 17 years old, 18, too old for a fridge. And like water's like leaking, the ice maker's doing something. Yes, it's time for a new fridge. So a new refrigerator, it's supposed to come tomorrow, Monday, I think. And it will be, it's fancy. I got a very simple stove. The fridge is kind of fancy. It's a semi-fancy fridge. It's an ice maker in the door. But that's it. Oh, I didn't get the thing. What's the thing now where you get a camera in your fridge? I think there's like a little video screen so you can look at the camera, not open the door, and look at the camera and go, oh, look, we're out of cheese. No, I didn't get that. I didn't. No, that's too silly. I didn't. I didn't get that. But it's a semi-fancy fridge, medium fancy. But you know, I got a lot of stuff in the fridge. I need a good fridge. So there you go. Woohoo! So far so good on the fires. Yay! I will keep you posted. Believe me, I will keep you posted if fires go anywhere near here. I will stay safe. I will check in again on Miss Charlotte up there in Napa. Make sure she's okay. And I will see you tomorrow. Awesome. I will. My hair's holding up pretty good. I will see you guys tomorrow, and it'll all be fabulous. And wash your hands and wear your masks and stay safe. And I could buy some stamps.